Hey everyone, you are watching Board Game Talk on inthirdperson.com. My name is Jet, and today on the show we are continuing our discussion about T.I.M.E Stories. This time we are talking about the expansions that I've played so far, giving you a bit of synopsis of each and whether or not you should give them a go. As you've probably guessed, you will want to have watched the first video before coming into this one, especially if you haven't played T.I.M E Stories before. So I'll put links in the description so you guys can check that out first. For everyone else, come with me and let's talk about the expansions. The first 4 expansions that have been released for T.I.M E Stories so far are the Marcie Case, A Prophecy of Dragons, Under the Mask, and Expedition Endurance. Now, there are more on the way. The series is very successful, and a lot of the expansions have sold very well as well. So there's going to be a lot of T.I.M E Stories content for fans of the series. Now, let's go talk about how you should play these. Because you can play them in order, I would suggest that you do so, but I don't really have a good rationale for why you should play them in order. So if you wanted to play these out of order, at this point you can, though I feel like at a certain point you will probably... I don't want to spoil anything. I just recommend play them in order. Let's leave it at that. So the first expansion to have come out was the Marcie Case, which takes place in 1992 in a time very similar to our 1992, where pretty much the zombie apocalypse breaks out and there's a girl named Marcie that you need to save for reasons that maintain the space-time continuum balance and how the events played out. There's an organization that's doing some weird stuff, and you need to go and save Marcie. Of the expansions so far, this one is my favorite. There's a lot of action in it, and I really like the core puzzle that carries throughout this game. My only problem with it is that the final solution, and maybe this is a little spoilery, you might want to fast forward. I'll try my best not to spoil it. But, 3, 2, 1, spoiler-ish. The final puzzle, I don't think the game gives you enough information to know for sure that this is the answer. We kind of went to the end of the game and had to make a guess. And I personally didn't like that part of it, because otherwise it was really cool puzzle. I like how it all resolved. Well, I didn't really like how it all resolved, but I liked the process that you went through to get there. I just wish it did a better job of letting you know that, hey, this is the answer. So overall, this one was pretty cool and my favorite of the bunch, actually. The next one that came out was A Prophecy of Dragons. T.I.M E Stories shares a lot in common with Dungeons & Dragons, taking a lot of its gameplay mechanics from D&D, and this one actually puts you in a medieval world in order to try and stop another disturbance in the space-time continuum. Well, I like the concept of going into medieval times as traditional RPG classes such as warriors and mages. I thought the structure of how the progression went was really off balance. So a lot of the story is spent in the preparation stage of the mission, and then when the cool stuff actually started happening in the story, it was already almost over. So I really didn't like that balance, and overall this one was kind of meh to me. So not that great. Maybe you should check it out if you're a completionist, but this one was not my favorite of the bunch. The third one released was T.I.M E Stories Under the Mask, which takes you back to ancient Egypt, where someone has stolen King Tut's mask, along with, of course, disturbing the space-time continuum, and you've got to go find the mask and take it back. So the big gameplay twist here is that you can switch your characters mid-game, which isn't something you can normally do in the main T.I.M E Stories games. So there might be benefits to switching to a certain character because they let you access a certain area or let you talk to specific people. And I thought it was just a weak gameplay element to put in there. It doesn't really impact the game all that much. We didn't really change it all, and it just felt very straightforward, and the story wasn't all that interesting. To its credit though, there was one particular puzzle that was very creative in how it got players to immerse into that specific puzzle. No more spoilers other than that. So there was a couple of cool moments here, but overall this one was pretty lackluster. The last one we are going to be talking about today is Expedition Endurance, which takes place on a giant ship that gets stranded in the Arctic Ocean, and the people survive for about 2 years before they die. And that part is actually supposed to stay the same. But there's been a disturbance in the space-time continuum. You've got to figure out why it's happening and stop it so that the people can, unfortunately, die like they normally would. The big new wrinkle that this particular expansion brings into the game is the concept of insanity. So sometimes you will go through a very traumatizing event and it might cause you to go insane. And if that happens, there are some weird effects that your character might have to do which could compromise the group effort. Now, when we played it, a couple of people went insane, but we never actually triggered the insanity effect, so it was just a very straightforward way of playing through the game where the hook of this particular one didn't really come into play at all. My other big problem with this one is that I really didn't like the writing or the story. There are a lot of typos that we found in this game, and just once you find out what actually happened on the ship, it ends up being really dumb. So, of the bunch, this one was my least favorite. Compared to the original game, these expansions, while they range from good to not so good, in general, they're not as good as the original game. That being said, if you were really hooked on the original story in the Asylum, there's still entertainment to be had in these. They definitely continue the T.I.M.E Stories experience, and with more expansions on the way, I really hope they hit the mark on future ones and deliver the thrills of the original. That is it for Board Game Talk this week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, comic books, and other nerdy pursuits. So until next time, my name is Jet, and thank you for watching.